Welcome to the Dogtor Bros, where we have an honest discussion around vet life in and out of the clinic. My name is Jeff. I'm your doc of the day and your guide through this episode. I'm a veterinary dermatologist living in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm here with my closest friends from vet school.
Hey, this is Adam. I'm a relief veterinarian in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hey, this is Chris. I'm a GP in North Carolina.
And hey, this is Brandon. I'm a small animal internal medicine doctor in Colorado.
And I am so pumped today because we have a good friend of mine and coworker, Dr. Julia Miller, with us today. Dr. Miller is originally from upstate New York. She graduated from Cornell, then completed a large animal internship at the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. After this, she was a mixed animal vet in North and South Carolina and worked at a spay-neuter clinic before realizing her love for dermatology and going back to Cornell for her derm residency. After her residency, she stayed on at Cornell as faculty before deciding to venture out into private practice in Kentucky. Here with me in Louisville, welcome, Dr. Miller.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So pumped. All right. So we're going to start off like we do every episode with a little game. And everyone's so pumped because they love my trivia. So I've got some vet med trivia for y'all. Chris is nodding his head yes. So this will be quick. Everybody will be assigned. Well, I would actually like numbers from y'all. Everybody gets a question. I will give you the question. You'll have 10 seconds to answer. And of course, it's like, whose line is it anyway? The questions don't matter and the points don't matter, but I'll decide who wins anyway. So 4 questions and 4 people. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who on what? Oh my God, please. I'm 2. Looking down.
2.
Okay.
1.
Adam said 2. Julia said 1.
Everybody's holding up numbers.
I hate you so much. Everybody's holding up the numbers. Okay, so Chris, you're now 3. Okay, starting with number 1. So this is for Julia. Each person pick a. Oops, that's me writing. Not me reading my instructions. It's crazy. Okay, for real. Number 1. How many accredited AVMA vet schools are there currently in the world?
World?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 150.
Wow. The answer is 49.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
So if you go on their website, and all of these are from the AVMA website except the last question, but apparently it's 49 and includes several different countries that are accredited by the AVMA.
Okay.
All right, Adam, number 2. According to the AVMA, in what year did first-year students for all vet schools exceed 4,000 seats? So the first-year class exceeded 4,000 seats. What year?
What? For all schools?
Mm-hmm.
Combined?
No, just this happened to one school. Like for the first time, one school. Oh, excuse me. No, it is all schools. That doesn't even make sense. 3 seconds.
Oh, Jesus. 1903.
Oh. Most of these schools didn't even exist. So the correct answer is 2022.
They didn't have antibiotics yet.
I'm sweating.
He panicked.
There was one cytokine. There were no cytokines. Oh, God.
I panicked.
Number 3. God, you're so wrong. Number 3. Chris, according to the AVMA, how many students graduated from the inaugural commencement class of the University of Arizona? So they're one of the newer ones.
127.
Okay, we'll take it. Just over 100. So we'll take it. That's all the AVMA was. We'll take it. Okay, good job, Chris.
That was an easier question than mine.
My guess for yours, Adam, was last year.
You said 1903. Shame. Brandon, last one. What state has the most veterinarians according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
I'm just going to go with California.
It's California. Wow. Well, I think we have 2 winners, Brandon and Chris. Welcome. Good job, guys. All right, now let's get into our main segment. And chat with Dr. Miller for a little bit, and then we'll kind of open things up and everybody can kind of ask her questions when we get to our round table segment. So, Julia, we ask all of our guests the time old question: what got you interested into veterinary medicine?
It's an excellent question. My dad is a veterinarian and actually a veterinary dermatologist, as it turns out. Um, I know, a little wild. So, part of me feels like I was genetically programmed to be a vet, and I just could not evade such a programming. But I mean, I grew up with animals. I was always that animal kid that loved the dogs and the cats and all the creatures and loved taking care of them. And then I think witnessing my dad, representation matters. So, witnessing my dad do the same thing kind of instilled my love for it. So it's kind of the same old tale that most people have. I love animals, I love people, and the two combined.
10 out of 10. I think we've all had like some similar forms, more or less, kind of in that realm. We're kind of those classic boring vets. If you haven't listened, go back to our original episodes for how we got into vet med and such. But now, easy peasy, let's jump into our roundtable segment. So, Dr. Miller is on the hot seat. We have questions for you. We want to learn more about you, get to know you. Who wants to go first?
This is Adam. So you mentioned that your dad is also a veterinary dermatologist, which is awesome. So from what I've heard, you actually trained under him during your residency, which is obviously a very unique opportunity. So tell us a little bit what that was like.
Yeah, unique is definitely a word for it, Adam. Um, no, I mean, it was wonderful. So the opportunity to do my residency came up after I had sort of bombed around small animal and mixed animal GP. And then I realized I really wanted to be a dermatologist. And when I talked to my dad about it, I love the idea of being his student and him being my mentor because he's such a smart guy, and we work well together. We sass each other a lot, and I can put up with him, and he can put up with me. So, I asked him. I said, Dad, do you think it's like really weird if you're my mentor? Would that be strange? And he was like, Nope, great, let's do it. I'm up. Um, and it was actually awesome. So, I think it had a little bit of struggles. I am a tiny bit of a Nepo baby. So there's that. But in general, it was great working with my dad. Again, we have a really good relationship. We can kind of kid each other, which I think brought him down to my level, which was very helpful. He is a genius of a man and an incredible mentor. So I would have been a fool to not seek mentorship through my dad. And it ended up being great. It was a wonderful experience for me.
And on the note of that, Julia, what did you have any, I guess, issues from any colleagues like when you were going on that path that were like, I don't know, challenging your respect for the field or like, oh, she's just here because of her dad? Like, what was that like?
Oh man, I am certain people have said that about me. To my face, no, because they know that I will say something right back to them if they would like. Because if there's one thing I can say about myself from day one, because I thought about this when I was in undergrad too, right? Because I was going to apply to Cornell for vet school, and my dad teaches at Cornell. So I wanted to make sure that no one could look at my undergrad transcript and say, oh, she doesn't deserve to go to vet school. It's just her dad. So I was like, a 4.0. I was an impenetrable vet school application on purpose because I didn't want people to be able to say I was a Nepo baby. And the same for when I went to my residency. I mean, I had lots of years of experience. I did pretty okay in vet school. Like, I think I deserved that residency spot no matter what. And I made sure that I felt that way. Only once in my career has somebody said something to my face that was, meant to be a joke, but was less funny than intended. And otherwise, I haven't really gotten any to my face blowback on it. And in general, I feel like people have actually treated me very respectfully and valued my opinion, which I love. So I actually haven't experienced anybody second guessing or guessing my abilities, which is great.
This is Chris. So you did mixed animal first or did a large animal residency first. So how did you go from that progression from large animal and then like, I'm going to go mix and then now I'm going to go to dermatology?
Chris, I am like the poster child for, when you're in vet school and you say, oh, I'm never going to need that. You're wrong. I'm the poster child for that. So I was full like backstory. I was going to be an opera singer in undergrad. I went to IU for opera and vocal performance, and then I decided halfway through that I loved singing, but I wanted to have a stable career, so I went towards veterinary medicine instead. So there's big change number one for Julia Miller. Then I had a year off in between undergrad and vet school, and I became a certified farrier. So I was a blacksmith, and I worked on horse feet for a year. I was ripped and buff, and I miss those days. I had no arm hair because I singed it all off in the forge, but it was still great.
The forge.
True, man. Let me tell you, burning hair is a weird smell. It's a weird smell, and I'll never forget it. Um, so then I was going to be an equine podiatrist when I went into vet school. Like that was 100% what I was going to do. Therapeutic farriery. I was equine track all through vet school, but Cornell doesn't track super hard. I still had to take quite a few small animal classes, but I was definitely the one that was like, nah, I won't need this. I'm just going to be a horse vet. And then I did after my internship, which I loved. I was a little bit burned out. I'll be honest with you. My internship year was very challenging because it was very busy. And I ended up going into mixed animal practice because that was back in 2013 and the economy was actually not very good in 2013. So now there's like two jobs for every one vet. Back then it was two vets for every one job. It was a very different veterinary economy. So the jobs I was being offered that were large animal only were like $40,000 a year, provide your own truck, and you're going to work in rural Texas. And I was like, no, I don't want to do
No.
that. Yeah. So
Mm.
so I ended up getting a mixed animal job because honestly, truthfully, I liked it was in North Carolina, it was in Statesville, and I liked the salary better and I liked the location. And when I started working in small animal, I really realized how much I loved it. I sort of slowly morphed over to the dark side, if you will. And as much as I love my large animal cases, man, did I like the stupid dogs and cats. And I was surprised and I loved the derm. I hated it, y'all. I tried so hard not to love dermatology. I will promise you this. I was like, that's it. I'm going to do something completely different. This apple is going to fall from the tree, roll away, and then it just rolled right back because I found myself really loving my derm cases and also surgery. So I kind of just worked my way back into small animal and derm from experience and being at different clinics and honestly being open to changing my opinion about where my career should go. I think that's been a really big thing in my career path is that I've always been very open to change and trying to be open and honest with myself about what I like. And I just morphed my way into small animal.
This is Brandon. I love that. I love that you kind of just forged your own path. I feel like some people want to do that and they never just like kind of take that next step. So I love that. I'm just, as someone that was in academia for my residency, I'm kind of curious how things changed for you as you transitioned from academia to private practice.
Yeah, I did academia for my residency and then I stayed on as faculty 3 years after. So I was like an assistant clinical professor. And I love teaching. I still do. Sometimes I miss that a little bit. But the bureaucracy of academia was very tough for me. And that ended up being what pushed me out of it. It was not my dislike of teaching. That was my heart and soul was teaching, but I am not a research gal. I mean, I know about it. I'm educated in it, but I do not want to complete it. And that was a difficult thing for me in academia because they had a lot of research requirements. So I morphed into private practice because I really wanted to spread my derm wings and be busier. And I love being in private practice. It reminds me of back being in GP private practice, busier schedule, talking to clients a lot. I did miss that a little in academia, right? Because in academia, you teach, you don't do as much. And I'm still in the phase of my derm career where I still really want to do. I still love doing things and love talking to clients. So there might be a day in my life when I go back and think about teaching a little bit more, but I love being in private practice. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel you there. I'm happy to be back in private practice.
Yeah, and this is Jeff. And I would say, what's nice about our company, Julie, is that we do still at least get to do a little bit of the teaching because now that we have Dr. Haley Batt, our brand new resident on board, like we do that. And then we have other residents in the company. For those who don't know, when I was a second year, Julia came on board. And so she was kind of like a surprise mentor for my third year of residency, which was really nice having her and Joya because they're so similar and also such wild, fun personalities. So like I got the best of both worlds as far as like just fun people to be around. And I wanted to ask, is since we're like talking about like different points in your career, are there any tips, or what kind of tips would you give to listeners or students or vet students or even GPs looking to make a shift who would want to follow along in any of your footsteps? If somebody was interested in academia or mixed animal GP or even specializing, how would you kind of give me some general tips?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that's the most important is that you just need to be very open and honest with yourself. And if you're in a job or a residency or an internship or whatever it may be and you don't like it, that's okay. I think it's important to be able to recognize that it's not bringing you joy, and if you can't morph it into something that brings you joy, that you need to move on and leave it behind. And I think that's a big thing with a lot of veterinarians now is that our profession is so varied. You can do so much, right? You can go back and specialize if you want to. You can go into industry. You can teach at a university. You can teach technicians. You can do, you can go on and do behavioral things or get extra training and be a mentor. There's so much you can do with our profession that I feel bad for people who aren't willing to kind of dig deep and see what makes them the happiest and be ready for that change. Now, change is difficult. That's another thing I'm going to tell people as a tip. I have definitely put myself in situations where I had to move to whole new areas, make new friends, go back into academia for a residency after making a lot more money in private practice and then literally cutting my salary by a
By a
lot.
lot,
By
yeah.
yeah. So man, that was a growing pain, and that's financially it sucked for me. I'm not gonna lie to everybody out there. And then I had to go back and be the student again, which was uncomfortable as heck for the first like couple weeks because I mean my mentor, my dad would be like, "What do you think this is?" And I was like, "I don't know," and it was weird for me to be like, say, "I don't know," because I was so used to being the big doctor that had all the answers, right? So get comfortable being uncomfortable if you're gonna do any changing things, and just be very open and honest with yourself. Another big thing is, vet med is big and small at the same time, but networking is everything, right? Go to a conference, look nice, wear a nice outfit, meet the people, say hi, introduce yourself. I've talked to so many people and counseled a ton of different people that, I've kept in touch with, and I've sought counsel from lots of other people that I know and advice from them. So networking, I think, is another really great way to stay involved and then find out what else is out there and available for you.
No, I think I mean, I couldn't said it better myself. We've talked on the pod before about like other things you can do with your DVM. Like there's so many things. Don't limit yourself just to the classic only GP or only general practice. If you think that's good or you're just not satisfied, just don't forget that there's other options, other things you can do. Um, Another question that I specifically had for you, Julia. So you once told me that, and you're the only person I've ever met who's told me like they've never really experienced imposter syndrome. And I wanted to know, how do you think that's informed your career? Like how you moved through life or vet school, like getting to achieve so much success in where you're at now?
I think it's a great question because you're exactly right. I do not have imposter syndrome. And I think the thing that I've recognized is I have worked hard for everything I've gotten, whatever it is, whether, it was winning a championship on my horse in high school or, doing all my voice lessons and singing well in undergrad and then like working towards my residency, passing my boards. Everything I've done, I've worked for. And I think we all deserve the benefits of what we work hard for. So, it's it's hard to say why I don't feel it other than I have confidence and I've always been told to be confident. I will also say that. Like I was always encouraged to be the confident young lady or now middle-aged lady.
Never that. So
So
young.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it though comes from for people recognize your own worth, right? Like recognize the work you've put in and take a second to appreciate yourself. I think that is so incredibly important in whatever you do. You're here, you're doing it. You've worked very hard to be a veterinarian. You've worked very hard to be a specialist or not a specialist, whatever it may be. So sit down and recognize your own worth and that you have a lot of positive things to put in, and you really are a smart human being for getting as far as you have.
I don't think I could have said it any better myself. I think that's amazing. Some great things to chew on. Anybody got any last minute questions before we swing on to the end over here?
I just want to say I totally agree with everything you said. I love it. And try to be more like you when it comes to imposter syndrome, because that's something that I deal with. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, it's more of a confidence thing. We've all, put our dues in. So
100%. And you don't want to be overly confident, right? It's a tender balance, without a doubt. But recognize what you do know, and I want more people to have more confidence in their skill set, because you got it. And also, you kind of have to have confidence, right? We're veterinarians, man. It's a fake it till you make it sometimes in this profession, and that's okay. That's what it is, because we're constantly learning every day. I learned something new today when I was in the clinic. So, yeah, don't doubt yourself.
Yeah, this is Jeff. And the last thing you just made me think of there is like one reason that I love working with you and Joya so much is because, and I've said this to our Dr. Bat as well, since she's our little baby now, is I love working with them because neither of the, like, there's this really powerful learning mindset that y'all come with. And I feel very much like a colleague when I'm working with y'all. It's never like my way is the highway or the only thing I know is what you should do. It's always a collaborative, like, okay, well, why do you think this way? Or, oh, did you learn something new because you literally had to read 18 journals this week? Okay, let's try that new thing you learned. And I've always felt like I had somewhere to grow, which has been really nice. As we get towards the end of this episode, number one, I just want to thank Dr. Miller for being on and ask you, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or see what you're doing?
Yeah, I think right now I'm probably the most active on Instagram, which is at Dr. J Animal Dermatologist. You might see my cute little pit bull Gino on there. He's a beautiful little manatee. Um, but that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. And then I'm lecturing all over the place. So I was just at VMX. I'll be at Western, and then in a couple other places this fall. So if you're out on the circuit, you might see me lecture. So please stop by any of my derm lectures. I would love to see you. And I always try to make them a fun experience. So if you're around where I am, come hang out.
This is Jeff again, and we absolutely will. And I can say 10 out of 10 lecture. So absolutely, you should jump in on one and go say hi. And so for our outro question, we'll switch back to just a fun, off-topic, random question for everyone. What is your favorite mythical creature? And I can go first. I'll say, when I was writing this question, I was thinking of griffins because I just think they're fun. And you know, if I can ride on a big old like eagle, tiger, lion thing, I'm into it. Kind of like hippogriffs from Harry Potter. Like I've just like always been fascinated by them.
Yeah, this is Adam. I was kind of between two. I was like dragon or a hippogriff from Harry Potter, just because hippogriffs seem really cool and you can ride them, and they can almost be like a pet. Dragons, I guess, are kind of scary. You want to get a good one that's on your side, but as long as you have a good one that likes you, then that'd be cool too.
Okay, Khaleesi. This is Brandon. Dragons came to mind for me. I'm going to say a phoenix. I think they're really cool. Just the circle of rebirth that occurs, and they're beautiful.
It's a good answer. This is Chris. I was going to go dragons as well, but not from Harry Potter or Game of Thrones. But if you guys read the Aragon books, the Dragon Riders and everything, that was kind of a cool thing.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
They had like a whole mind connection thingy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading that a long time ago. Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm reading the Fourth Wings right now, so Dragon Rider's in there. But my favorite mythical creature is a good man. I
can't breathe.
I think you meant a single good man, right?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. A single good man. Please bless me.
Well done.
That's it.
Yeah. They're just as mysterious.
Might as well get a hippogriff, you know?
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Dogtor Bros.
If you would like to support us, please share this episode with others who may be interested in today's topic, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Would you like to influence our next episode? We love hearing your opinions and thoughts. Your comments may be our next topic.
Please leave us suggestions via email at thedoctorbros@gmail.com. DM us at the Dogtor Bros on Instagram or leave us comments on our posts. Again, this is Brandon. You can reach me at Dr. Mason IM on Instagram.
And this is Chris, and you can reach me on Instagram at dr.chrishernandez.
And this is Jeff. You can find me on TikTok or Instagram at DermDrJeff, DermDogtorJeff.
And this is Adam. You can reach me on Instagram at Dr. Adam DVM. That's DRADAMDVM.